function. So there's lawlessness and volatility. So this is an Afro-Indigenous family who have a plot of land that they're protecting with everything they have, and that's how this film starts.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. The other piece, just to add to that, is that there's also been a second civil war. We can't possibly imagine that happening. And so both Haley, and Galen are ex-military, so they know how to fight, and
Wow.
they teach their children how to fight. And Lena, who plays Rain, is particularly fond of
The sniper.
Okay.
I am the sniper. I'm the gun-loving daughter. Like,
Uh-oh. That's great, man. So I get it now. That's lays out everything. So I think as we move forward here, what was the most important thing when you made this movie? And actually, no, let me ask another question first. Jennifer,
Mhm.
if you had to play a role in the movie,
Oh,
right, you can, and I'm gonna give you an out though. You can invent a role for yourself, right? But which role would it be?
oh my gosh. Oh, Lord of mercy. Okay, so here's the thing. I have never wanted to be on screen. I mean, I've done a few things, and I have never put myself on screen because I'm just like, I'm a shy person. I actually have to be tough and like, whatever in real life and whatever to make things happen. But I'm very shy, and I think if the camera on me, I get very nervous. That said, let me just see. Oh gosh, what role would I would have picked? I would be Haley's long lost sister, who who has like a safe haven somewhere in the States, and then I'll just show up one day, with like a band of kids and I guess
Dirty
kids,
Dozen. Dirty
people,
Dozen.
right? And then I'll bring to the farm and insist that she lets us in, and then she'll be like really annoyed with me, but then eventually she will come to love her her
Okay.
her other sister. How's that? I just made some shit up, okay? But but you also asked earlier about AI, and
Yeah.
I have to say very proudly, there was no AI used in the making of this film. I say this because I think that like art, like I feel like RT as a filmmaker, art mattered to him and to myself, and so we really like a lot of our stunts were real. Like we did so much in the like in old school filmmaking where yeah, sure, there's some green screen stuff, but mostly it was just real, all real and authentic. And I have to say, I think for actors, they're in greater danger in some ways because AI could really take away their image and have their image regurgitated, in various ways. So, there was a SAG strike that happened while we were putting this movie together. And it really, really made things very difficult. But there wasn't a single moment in that I did not support and stand with the actors and what they were demanding. So, I don't hate AI or anything like that, but I just don't think it's the place for it.
Okay. Okay. Michael. Okay. Yeah, so that's an artist talking, right? I mean, we could talk about the businesswoman and the other people with the money. They may tell you otherwise, right? So that's gonna be a challenge moving forward in your industry, I suspect, right? Michael, tell me something, man. Tell me about like your thoughts on the industry. Like,
Well, it's a tough time to make movies. I think it's always been very challenging, but at this time, we're dealing with a contraction in our industry across. It's a global phenomenon. I think production is down something like 40%, and that's affecting economies wherever films are made. So, a lot of people are really struggling, especially crew. And one of the things that crew rely on is continuous employment. So they're not, making mega millions, right? And they need continuous employment to really make a livelihood. And so when production is down, it becomes much, much more difficult for people to, pay their bills and keep roofs over their heads. And so we've seen, after COVID and then after the strike, a lot of people are leaving the industry. So this is a really fraught moment. It's very, very tough.
So I get that. And, a quick question, being Indigenous, why don't we see more Indigenous people in movies in Canada or even throughout North America?
Canada is, I think, a unique example. I mean, Canada is a settler state, as is the United States. And so our populations in both countries have been traumatized by erasure and racism. So when you look at colonial structures, it upholds white supremacy. So out of that, the way our screens don't look like the streets we live.
Oops, did we lose him?
What happened?
Oh, yeah. And so I was saying that our screens don't look like the streets that we live on, and that's intentional. So we've had communities, Indigenous artists and creators have been fighting against the system since it began. And fortunately, in Canada, there is state support through the Indigenous Screen Office and companies like APTN, et cetera, in which our work is foregrounded. And that's rare, especially in the United States. It's much harder to have our stories told there than in Canada. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, man. I think it's across a lot of things we do in Canada, from business to arts and entertainment, that, it's been, the marketing team is doing their marketing, to keep things, the power structure as it stands, right? Personal question. How did you get started, man, as an actor?
That's a long story. But I was in the arts my whole life. So I was a dancer and I became an actor. And it was, I was living in New York City in the early 90s, and I saw Dances with Wolves on screen. And I remember watching it going, oh, wow, that's like, those are people, from my community. I can recognize people from my community. And of course, it was this beautifully, told story, and it won the Oscar, and it got a lot of press, and it began a lot of careers. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, well, that's something I can do. That's something I can see myself doing. So there I was, living in New York City. I was injured. I wasn't working, and I said, well, I know actors don't work a lot, and sometimes they're very poor, and that's what I am. So I think
you're already poor, right? I get that. Quick question, Lena. What's the hardest part of the industry for you?
Sitting around and waiting. There's a saying among actors, it's hurry up and wait. And that's a lot of the job, and I'm very grateful for it. Acting has opened up so many doors, and I've met so many amazing people doing it. But I would say, yeah, that is one of the hardest ones, is also like knowing that you did a great job, but there could be like 12 other factors as to why you didn't get a certain role. Or, pouring your heart out for a role, making it to the number 2, like it's down to you and 2 people, and then not getting it. That, I think, losing out on roles like that is always going to hurt.
Back in the day when I used to date, that was the problem. It was always second.
Yeah.
So tell me, advice to a younger person getting into acting, Jada.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Advice to a younger person getting into acting as a younger person.
I've been acting my whole life. I think since I was 5. And I have a lot of friends who are non-actors who want to become actors. I'd say maybe the best advice is maybe just try to get as much experience as you can and work as hard as you can, try as hard as you can, and don't give up because it's a really, really tough industry and it can be very, very hard. So, kind of like what they said, you kind of have to wait and just don't give up. I mean, if you really want something, then really try at it.
Perfect. Perfect. Jennifer, back to you, my sister. So, I live in Toronto. We grew up in Toronto. And when things happen, things come out and people are asking, what's going on over there? So before I even knew about the movie, Birdie whispered something to me, saying about people's payments and what have you. Now, I know you and Studs to be some people with high integrity. So let's clear that up for the world right now.
Yeah, well, I want to say that when we started the movie, I had raised all the financing for the film. So I did all the financing. And we were in the middle of the SAG strike, and we had just been given our permission to cast our lead actress, who was American. And our U.S. distributor pulled out of the movie at the last minute, and we were a week out. And so I met with the director and some of the other EPs, and I said, "This is what's going down. What should we do? Should we go forward? Should we not?" And I was also filming in Sudbury, which was a completely I'd never filmed there, and the way the rules was that I wasn't able to take some of the people that I normally worked with. I actually had an entirely, completely new crew. I'd say 95% of them from Sudbury. So here I was with a new crew, and we had just lost what was about $1.4 million. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about it, and the decision was to go forwards, primarily because one of my executive producer who thought that he was going to be able to bring the shortfall back to the table. And he set up a meeting with me with this guy who was a financing guy, and we had a great meeting, and the guy was like, no problem. And so we go towards production, and the guy ghosts my EP. And so now we're shooting, and like we have this shortfall. And so we literally did, like I want to make it very clear. There's this talk about people being paid and not being paid and all this kind of stuff. Our crew every single week was paid on time every week. That's important to know, because if our crew was not paid on time every week, they would not show up. These are not folks I'd worked with before. So that was number one. So there was that rumor that went around that all this crew wasn't being paid. But we did, though, have shortfalls, and we also had to, pay folks as we went along. So, for example, our cast, within a couple of months of the movie ending, we paid all of our cast, all of those kinds of things. So, because what I was doing was I was like trying to figure out, how do I make this movie and finish it and get it to the edit. And I want to tell you that what's really interesting about what actually happened is that it is not the first movie that because another part of it, by the way, was that in working with this unfamiliar crew, there were people who sort of took advantage of the situation, right? But that said, we still had made the decision to go forwards with the show and to move, to try to get it made. And while we were doing that, what was really strange, because again, there's lots of productions that go over budget or get in trouble or all those kinds of things, right? But we were working very hard to make sure everyone was paid. I have never seen a situation where a production was called out because of that. It's just never has happened, especially when you're making payments and you're making payments regularly. So But what also happened was that we had one crew member who was the VP of the union, and that person was fired from the production, and that person, without any kind of grievance process or any of those kinds of things, essentially decided that they wanted to put our names out there. And that's what they did. And because typically the way the union rules are, if there is a problem with a production, the union files a formal grievance, and then the producer has to respond and all these kinds of things. None of that happened, right? So, there was a bit of something else going on, primarily because that person, was fired from the production. But at the end of the day, we see this as a triumph, because at the end of the day, we got all the financing we need for the production. We paid everyone, and then it was like, it's a good news story. The movie is made. We've paid all the folks, and we got out of the problem.
Perfect. But listen, and that's what I expected from you. You're a winner, right? So you delivered a winning solution. Perfect. So this movie is important to our community. It's important to the Black community, to the Indigenous community. It's important to getting through strife, like you just, the financing side and what have you, all of it. So we're here to help you get this movie out and get more people to see it, because that's what it's all about. People in the seats, people checking it out, people, doing whatever they need to do. So we got some tickets to give away, okay? And we are going to figure that out. I think what we're going to do is just give them away.
Yeah.
Give them away.
Yeah. Because, at the end of the day, this is a great movie. Yeah. It is a good news story. It is a triumphant story. It is a story about how, like, a great director with a great story, and a producer who ultimately, there were some struggles, but came through with the team and made it happen.
Story within itself right there already too, so I think this is great, man. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me today. If you could email, the email, sorry, I can barely see the screen. Let me put my glasses on.
I think it's like Phil@DIS.
Yeah, this rough. Yeah, email me. I'm going to be sending that out, and people can send it. So the first come, first serve, and we'll get that out. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks everybody for coming out. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations, Jennifer. Congratulations, Studs. Jada, Michael, Lena, everybody I met, everybody I've seen. You guys did a great job, man. Thank you again. Yeah. Bye. Go see the movie.
Yeah, everyone, check it out. It's a fantastic film, and this is a triumphant story.
Trust. I feel that. Looking forward.
Great meeting you, Jen.
Thank you. Take care.
Yes, thank you guys for the support and and the tickets, getting the tickets for it. I mean, we're just grateful. Those tickets are going to go out to young people to see the film, so we're really grateful about that.
For sure.
Jada, thank you. All of this, man. Every one of you guys have been good. Actually, it's funny because I'm going to try and get some more tickets. I live out in Brantford, and so I have a large Indigenous community close by who have been hanging with. I play ball with them. Chetty, I'm gonna find a way to play some good basketball, right? So that I'm gonna head up. I'm gonna head down there. It's okay. They got solutions nowadays. Take care, guys. We're gonna have to say goodbye, and we'll chat in. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Take care, Jada. So lovely to see you. And this one is a rising star, by the way. Look out for her. She's a rising star. She's just a dream to work with.
Okay. Looking forward to that.
Okay, good.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey guys. All right, take care. Bye.